American workers.
Yesterday, the president met with GOP leaders at the nation's capital, but did not mention the new legislation passed in the House last week. So we want to bring in Congressman Mike Quigley right now to help us understand what's going on. Where do we stand with this new round of stimulus funding? And good morning to you, Congressman.
Morning. Glad to be here. And I'm actually looking forward to not missing a Williams parade. 83.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. We're trying to figure out how that's going to work out, but
we'll find out.
So talk to us about that stimulus funding and that new round. You know, it passed out of the House. So where do we stand right now with things?
Well, look, Mitch McConnell has said he's in no hurry to bring this up, which is contrary to what I'm hearing from small businesses and individuals who desperately need help. The Fed chair said the same thing. He strongly encouraged Congress and the president to move forward and pass legislation that will not only stimulate the economy, but provide housing and food security for most Americans.
Congressman, there has been a growing chorus of late, people seemingly hell-bent on convincing anxious and angry Americans that a lot of this pandemic is a hoax. I want to play some sound for you, and you and I will talk on the back end. Let's play that sound right now.
You watch, they'll milk it every single day between now and November 3rd. And guess what? After November 3rd, coronavirus will magically all of a sudden go away and disappear, and everybody will be able to reopen.
So, Congressman, my question is this. Even Governor Pritzker has come under fire from extremists. When I say the word pandemic and hoax, what comes to mind? How concerned are you this morning as a congressman and as a person about this narrative?
Look, it's scary. The bottom line is you can't fake 91,000 deaths. You have to rely on science and data. And the fact is, if we had not done what we had done so far, which is 19th century methods of distancing and hand washing, it's easy to imagine 4 or 5 times the death toll so far. But I'm not worried about myself as much as I'm worried about those most vulnerable by this kind of irresponsible behavior. People in nursing homes, people with underlying medical conditions, first responders, healthcare providers, people in essential services who check us out at the grocery store. They're putting their lives at risk. And it just makes no sense. It's not that complicated. Wear a mask, wash your hands, physically distance. We are seeing leaders forced to do what Lincoln did, and that is appeal to the better angels of our nature, but frankly, the smarter angels of our nature at this point as well.
Congressman, on Monday, the president revealed that he is taking that controversial drug, hydroxychloroquine. And, you know, of course, Nancy Pelosi reacted to that news, saying that she wished he wouldn't take it because of the concerns with that drug, and also pointing out his weight. But isn't it really, you know, something that was discussed between him and the White House doctor? Or wouldn't that be his own personal decision to make? Why the criticism from the Democratic leader?
I think you have to couple it with the fact that the president called this a hoax. The president worked against the advice of the CDC in talking about reopening. And as I said before, when this began and the president said it would magically go away, I think he did a lot of harm. There are a lot of those who follow his leadership advice and frankly put themselves at risk. So if you couple that lack of leadership in putting this virus at a proper level, I think the president makes the situation far worse.
And Congressman, before we let you go, they're holding a special session down in Springfield, and senators are going to be in one venue and the representatives are going to be in another. And then we're told there's going to be a 7-day quarantine to make sure that everybody's safe. How long do we anticipate this being the new normal, keeping lawmakers away from each other, so to speak, and yet having them do the business of passing legislation?
Look, I'm going to let every General Assembly decide how they're going to do things. I think what we did last week and the week before in Congress worked. We were voting in groups. Most of the people were wearing masks. We passed legislation that allows people to vote by proxy. I intend to be there because it's my job, but I completely understand some of my colleagues who have comorbidity issues, and I'd be glad to proxy vote for them. And I do think you'll start to see our body have some committee work done in a form just like we're using right now. Most most democratic systems across the world already have such systems in place during an emergency. So I'd like to see the General Assembly do that as well, because the legislative branch has its role to play.
Congressman Mike Quigley, sir, we always appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
Anytime. Be safe.
You too. 6:50.